Hey guys, welcome to LALoveCreative, and today we're talking about the Canon 50mm 1.2 RF lens for my Canon EOS R6. If you haven't, make sure you hit the bell so you can stay notified when we post new videos. Cue the intro. Now I'm on a journey right now to compare Canon RF lenses to my Sigma Art Series lenses. I have a Canon EOS R6, I have a Canon C70. I'm a big fan of the EF system. As much as I think the Canon RF lens lineup is very, very good, for me, I'm constantly trying to figure out, is it justifiable to spend so much money for these lenses? I don't know if I'm on that bandwagon where I'm like, ooh, I'm ready to spend $7,000 on Canon L series, lenses with better focus rings. You get me. Now, I recently had this awesome shoot. I shot this model named Madison. I shot her in the studio. The studio was so sick, and it was just really cool. It had really cool little setups. It had really cool natural light, and it just really gave you a lot of different options in the studio. And I had a blast shooting this model. Now, why did I pick a 50mm lens instead of a 85 or a telephoto or something a little bit higher? I find myself really grabbing a 50mm lens when I'm doing portraits, more than sometimes like a 70-200 or a 100mm or something like that. And for this shoot, I was shooting a little bit of lingerie. I was shooting a little bit of high fashion work. The studio had a lot of different setups, and I really wanted something that could show a little bit more of the background without, going too wide, and then also without going too telephoto. Now, one thing I like about the Canon RF straight up is the build quality is amazing. I think the RF system, you're getting what you're paying for. It feels like a tank. When you hold it in your hand, your hand's gonna get tired because it's built very well and it's very solid. I think the focus ring on the 50 is probably one of the smoothest I've used so far with the RF system. I was manually focusing for video, and I was like, wow, this is just amazing how smooth this focus ring is. So if you do a lot of manual focusing, I would say if you have the money, get this lens. When it comes to image quality itself, the Canon 50mm 1.2 is very sharp. It is like tack sharp. The autofocus with the new hybrid systems on the Canon EOS R6, which is one of the reasons why I got the Canon EOS R6, is on another level. I wish the Canon C70 had the autofocus that the Canon EOS R6 and R5 have. I know there are different types of cameras, but the Canon EOS R6 and the R5 have such intuitive autofocuses. It's starting to get to a point where now I don't even use a viewfinder. I really just look at the actual screen on the LCD when I'm doing focusing and when I'm shooting, and it just 8 times out of 10 it's just spot on. So autofocusing with the Canon 50 RF was a breeze. On this shoot, I did something different, and it's something I'm really starting to get really into because I am a hybrid shooter. I shoot a lot of video and I shoot a lot of photography. I'm starting to get into shooting photography with continuous light, so it makes it easier for me to go from video to photo. You feel me? Another benefit of using continuous light when you're shooting photography is you see everything that's going. I find when I'm using strobes, and maybe it's because I come from a videography background, is when I'm using strobes, I don't like the fact that it's not as modular and easy to adjust things on the fly. You basically take a shot when you use a strobe and you review it, take a shot. Yes, there's modeling lamps and stuff like that, but there's something about a continuous light and knowing what it's doing at all times that I really like. So I've been messing around with that. So for this shoot, I used the Amaran 200D. It's this light that's above me right now. And I use that as my key light and just the lights inside the actual studio to, complement it and move around and do stuff like that. And I felt that the Canon 50 1.2 was just perfect for this, because if you're gonna use continuous light, most likely you're gonna be using a faster aperture. Some of the looks that we captured with this continuous light were just perfect. Now, comparing the Canon RF 50 to maybe my Sigma Art 50 or something like that, I don't think the image quality is that much better. I think if I shot with the Canon versus my Sigma, I wouldn't really be that blown away. I do know that the Canon 50 RF is sharper, but as far as image quality, I don't really know if there'd be that much of a difference when I threw the images on Lightroom. I do know that the Canon RF is snappier with autofocus and it is sharper, but the Art Series lens lineup is very sharp, so you're not really getting that much of a bump. But if you want the sharpest and better quality lens for your Canon system, obviously go the Canon 50 RF, but it just depends on the price and if you're willing to pay that. For me, the Canon RF system is just too expensive. Just keeping it real. The Canon 50 is like $2,400. This Sigma, 50 is like $800. It's just not, it just doesn't, equate to me. If you're wanting the best 50 millimeter, go the RF, spend the money, do that. But for me, the Sigma 50 has never, had me wanting more. I think it's a great image and I think it's a great lens. So that's just me. So that's all I have to say about the 50 1.2 RF. If you have any questions about photography or videography, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time. See you later. Peace.